quit eating carbs? I've talked about what diabetes is. The way you treat diabetes is the same way you prevent diabetes. When it comes to human nutrition, food is broken down into three macronutrients: proteins, fats, and carbs. When it comes to protein, I think most people have an intuitive sense of what it is. Proteins are made of amino acids. It helps to think of amino acids like letters of an alphabet. You arrange the alphabet letters in different sequences to create different words. In that same way, you use different sequences of amino acids to create different proteins. There are around 20 different amino acids, and roughly half of them are what is referred to as essential. I pointed this word out to make sure it gets your attention. When it comes to nutrition, essential means your body needs it but can't make it. For example, for humans, vitamin C is essential. We need it, our bodies can't make it, so we have to consume it. However, for most other mammals, vitamin C is not essential. They need it, but their bodies can make it. The second macronutrient is fat. Fats are made using fatty acids. Two of these fatty acids are essential. One is an omega-3 fatty acid, the other is an omega-6 fatty acid. I'll probably revisit omega-3s and omega-6s in the next video. Just like protein, I think most people have an intuitive sense of what fat is. The third macronutrient, carbohydrate, is a bit trickier for folks to wrap their heads around. If I held a piece of bacon in my hand, most people could point to the fat and they could point to the protein. But if I held a slice of bread in my hand or a piece of fruit, you couldn't really point out the carbohydrate there. You will need to look up the carbohydrate content of certain foods to get a feel for things. When I talked about proteins and fats, I mentioned that some of those building blocks are essential, meaning your body needs it but can't make it. When it comes to carbohydrates, none of them are essential for humans. I repeat, there are no essential carbohydrates for human beings. That isn't me taking some intellectual leap. That is taken directly from medical and nutrition textbooks. The solution to a lot of modern diseases is simply to stop eating so much of a macronutrient that we don't need to eat in the first place because our bodies can make enough of it. I'm sorry that the solution isn't some super complicated and super expensive thing. It's simple and it's free. Just stop eating carbs. Here's a graph of the effects of the different macronutrients on your insulin levels. Fat has almost no effect on your insulin. Protein will cause a slight rise when you consume it. Carbohydrates, on the other hand, will cause a spike. There are multiple reasons why the blood test showed that my insulin levels are low like they need to be. The first is that I avoid carbs. The second is the frequency with which I eat. Not only are people spiking their insulin by eating way too many carbs, they're doing so repeatedly throughout the day. If you eat 3 meals per day with snacks in between, the only time your body has a chance to recover from all that insulin is when you are sleeping. And most people don't get enough sleep on top of that. I will cover this in more detail in the sleep videos, but for now, know that a lack of good quality sleep makes you more diabetic. This will also factor into the Alzheimer's videos. Now, you don't want to stop eating carbs cold turkey. I mean, you can, but it might be unpleasant for you. I would recommend treating carbs like a drug that you would want to gradually wean yourself off of. To make it easy on yourself, track everything you eat for a week. Figure out about how many carbs per day that you have. Let's say you track your food for a week and you see that you eat 400 grams of carbs per day. That number just so happens to be the amount of carbs in a family-sized pack of lemon Oreos. The next week, set a goal to limit your carbs to 300 grams per day. In the following week, try to limit yourself to 200 grams per day and keep going like that. Keep in mind, if you're on diabetes medication or blood pressure medication, those will have to be adjusted as your insulin drops from the carbs that you are not eating anymore. You should work with your medical professional on how to best do that. This is a reminder that I am not a medical professional, and what I deliver to you is not medical advice. I think this wraps up the videos on diabetes. Keep in mind that insulin is going to show up in most of the other videos that I make. The next video will focus on one of the worst inventions in all of humanity. Stay tuned to see what that is.